I just completed my run with Butterfree not using special moves or sleep powder. It was hard, and so I decided I should try another run that'll be that challenging. So today I'm going to beat Pokemon Red with a single Zubat. Zubat is a pretty terrible Pokemon. It has an incredibly limited level up moveset. The best move we can learn comes at level 15 in the form of a base 60 power Bite. Also, I've noticed Confuse Ray, which may end up being pivotal to this run's viability. Leech Life may become useful against Psychic type Pokemon like Alakazam, but outside of that use case, it's just a plain bad move. On the TM and HM side of things, we don't have access to much either. Rest, Toxic, Double Edge, Mimic, and Mega Drain are likely going to be used extensively. I want to avoid using Double Team at all costs, but considering Zubat's stats, I might not have a choice this time around. Finally, before we get started, let's cover the rules of this challenge. I will only use Zubat in battle. I will not use any items in battle. I will use other Pokemon for HMs outside of battle. So with those rules out of the way, let's dive into this solo Zubat run. Right away we find how annoying Zubat really is. It's not just a nuisance for trainers trying to explore caves. It also is painfully awful in battle. Somehow Leech Life has 15 PP, and I need to go back and forth between the Pokemon Center and the grass to even start leveling up. Since Pidgey resists Leech Life, the only Pokemon at this point that I can actually take out are Rattata. After gaining levels here and learning Supersonic, I head off to face Brock. Brock obviously isn't going to go well at this level, but I figured I'd give it a try. Maybe Supersonic can work some magic? Turns out it can't. I'll head back to Viridian Forest and level up until I learn Bite. Perhaps with a higher base power move, this fight will be significantly easier. Coming back at level 15 with Bite doesn't end up working, but it does get close. I think that with a couple more levels, I'll have the stats I need to win this fight. I come back at level 18 and my strategy is now effective. Start with Supersonic to mitigate damage and whittle the Geodude down as fast as possible. From there, use Bite to chip away until the Geodude goes down. I want to save Leech Life for Onix in case I run out of Supersonic power points. Onix is easier. Attack with Bite whenever you can. If Onix uses Bide, set up Supersonic and spam it until Onix unleashes energy. With some patience, Onix goes down, and I've earned myself the Boulder Badge. I train as much as possible in Mount Moon. Once I reach Cerulean City, I'm at a decent level, and I think I'll be able to manage my rival. He opens with Pidgeotto, which is one of his scarier Pokemon. Several bites take it down, and I take decent damage. Aber can't attack me, so I use Leech Life to regain as much health as possible. Rattata lands a critical hit and takes my health to a level where I'm not sure I can survive Charmander. But with Confuse Ray and some luck, I stand victorious over the Charmander, and I can move on to Misty. She opens with Staryu, which is never a real threat. My tactics for this fight is to use Confuse Ray, which has a 100% accuracy to confuse her, then use Bite to take her down. It works very well versus the Staryu, and then she sends out Starmie. I take a Bubble Beam, which is a bit scary, but after that she switches to Tackle, which doesn't deal nearly enough damage. Several bites later, Starmie goes down and I've earned myself the second badge. The SS Anne rival fight is fairly easy. The first attempt I had on it, I got sand attacked into oblivion, but the second time things went much better. I took out Pidgeotto without any issues. Sandshrew went down easily as well. Kadabra hit me with a Confusion, which serves as a form of foreshadowing for how hard this fight might get later on. Finally, Charmeleon goes down without too many issues. Surge is a similar difficulty. The first time Raichu takes me down just before I knock him out. Silly X speed actually helped him this time. On my second attempt, I don't one-shot the Voltorb, but it misses and goes down anyways. Pikachu is a one-hit, and that leaves only Raichu. This time, I make the smart play, and I go for Confuse Ray first. Raichu hits itself once, and that small lead is all I need to take the victory over Surge. On the way to Erika, who's going to be very easy, I run into this annoying hiker. It actually took me 3 attempts to finally beat him. Self-destruct just does so much damage to Zubat, and there's no way for me to improve my stats against it. Funny enough, I miss Butterfree's access to Harden. Next I head to Erika's gym. I'm a bit worried about Giovanni, so I want to do the easy stuff first. The fight with Erika isn't noteworthy at all. I actually consider leaving it out of this video altogether. I didn't even have a strategy, I just randomly experimented using Leech Life or Wing Attack. Turns out they're both very good, and this fight was no contest at all. Okay, now the easiest gym leader is out of the way, time to take on Giovanni. Onyx comes out first, and I open with Confuse Ray. This fight starts to get scary as I lose health and Onyx hangs in there. I know I'll be able to take down Onyx, but I'm unsure about what follows. Luckily Rhyhorn goes down without issues, and Kangaskhan is even easier. Now that Giovanni's done, I can head back to Pokemon Tower and face my rival. Check out how trolly his Execute is. Puts me to sleep over and over, and then hits me with Barrage. I finally take it out, but I'm not thinking clearly and I go down to Kadabra after that. This is the first time I've lost to this rival after defeating Erika. The second attempt goes much better. I avoid taking the Sand Attack early on, and from there my overleveled Zubat bites his way to victory. I'm just gonna say now, Pokemon Tower is so much easier when you can actually attack the Ghastly. I grab the Pokeflute and head to Fuchsia City to take on Koga. Along the way I train on the bikers. I don't want this run to get out of hand on the later gym leaders. Versus Giovanni I needed my Butterfree to be level 75. I don't want to be behind the level curve with Zubat. Koga is disgusting. I say disgusting because he genuinely made me want to quit this challenge. Coughing has Smokescreen, Muck has Minimize, the second Coughing has Smokescreen again, and if you get past all of this, Wheezing knows Self-Destruct. Technically by Pokemon Red's internal rules, I beat him pretty much every time. However, his Wheezing always made my Zubat faint, and since we can't use any other Pokemon other than Zubat for this challenge, it's considered a loss. I finally realized what I was doing wrong. Spending extra turns on Confuse Ray just creates more risk. The best way to face him is simply spam Bite. His Coughings all go down in 3 hits, and Muck takes between 4 and 5. At that point I use a Confuse Ray to try and stop Wheezing from attacking. Wheezing needs to never hit a self-destruct. I finally did it after many excruciating attempts. The rival in Silph Co is challenging. Pidgeot has a chance of using Sand Attack, which will really make this battle hard. Luckily on my second attempt I get some luck. Pidgeot goes down very quickly without getting a Sand Attack off, and then Gyarados hits itself twice in confusion. Since I go into the Alakazam fight with full health, I'm not particularly worried. I deal half damage with my first bite, and his Psybeam does massive damage. My second Leech Life finishes him off. Charizard goes for Rage, and that secures the victory for me. In Generation 1, when you use Rage, it basically keeps using it every successive turn until you either faint or take out the opponent's Pokemon. Still looking back on this fight, when Alakazam gets to level 50, it's going to be so terrifying to face. I'm not looking forward to the next battle with the rival. Giovanni is not challenging. The fight took a while since I can't deal much damage to him, but it's very easy. Nidorino goes down easily with successive Leech Lives. Kangaskhan locks itself into Rage and then faints. Rhyhorn was the slowest to take out, but I lucked out with good Confusion luck. Finally, Nidoqueen goes down easily with successive Leech Life hits. I've defeated Giovanni for the second time, but I'm still worried about the last gym, but for now we can move on. Sabrina has a type advantage over me. Psychic is super effective against poison, and since Alakazam is one of the strongest, fastest Pokemon in the game, I'm anticipating this fight won't go well. Because of Zubat's limited learn set, I also won't have the chance to set up and make the fight more reliable. I think I just have to be able to brute force this one. Sabrina opens with Kadabra, but it goes down quickly with a singular bite. After that, Mr. Mime starts to set up its barriers. Luckily, Mr. Mime never really likes to attack, so it goes down after 3 consecutive bites from Zubat. Venomoth follows and hits us for a super effective Psybeam that does far less damage than I was expecting. Venomoth goes down and Alakazam comes out. The $1 million question is, will we outspeed? We do, and we take it down with a single critical hit with Bite. This fight was infinitely easier than I expected. This opens the road to Blaine, who I don't anticipate being too bad. Let's head down to Cinnabar Island and see. Blaine opens with Growlithe, and since I can't take it out in a single hit, he heals it with a super potion. Way to be trolly, Blaine. After that, Ponyta comes out, and it goes down to 2 simple bites. I still haven't taken any damage. This is looking really good. Rapidash takes less than half damage from my first bite, and only uses Tail Whip. My next bite is a critical hit, and I take the Rapidash down. Arcanine is next. This is the Pokemon to worry about. I damage it with Bite, and Blaine immediately heals it. I wish Bite had done more damage here. I switch to Confuse Ray, and Blaine's awful AI uses another super potion while Arcanine is at full health. The next turn, Arcanine hits itself in confusion, and the following turn, it misses its takedown. That's a lot of good luck for me. One final bite finishes him off, and I'm ready to take on the final gym leader. Before we head on to Giovanni, I do a bit of training. The next 7 trainers are going to be incredibly hard. We don't have a particularly fast way to make it through Giovanni's team. Luckily in red and blue, his AI is significantly worse than in yellow. Perhaps I should do this challenge again in that game. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see solo Zubat in Pokemon Yellow. For now, Rhyhorn doesn't pose much of a threat. It goes down with some dedication. Remember, Horndrill can't hit us unless we're slower than the opponent's Pokemon. Dugtrio goes down in 2 bites. It has really low defenses. It's important to take it out as soon as possible to prevent it from getting Sand Attack off. I really hate Sand Attack. It messes up so many battles in these solo runs. You can't just switch out to get your accuracy back. Nidoqueen is really easy even if it takes a while. Nidoking, however, can be a real threat. Thrash is very scary, and once it starts, it will continue to attack you for massive damage each turn. Finally, Rhydon isn't as scary as in Yellow. It's 5 levels lower, and it doesn't appear to know Rock Slide. Due to that, after some time battling it and trying to avoid massive damage it can deal with Stomp, I managed to take it out. I've bested the gym challenge now, and my journey can take me off to the Elite Four. On the way there, we bump into our rival for the final time. Now this fight is going to be hard. Alakazam has reached the pinnacle of its strength, and now poses a serious threat to our small bat. For these reasons, I'm going to switch up my moveset before this fight. I can't believe how far I got with just these 4 moves. I never even taught a single TM to Zubat throughout the entire gym challenge. I'll delete Leech Life for Mega Drain. This will be more effective against rock and ground types, and give me a bit more kick while I'm recovering HP. I chose to delete Wing Attack over Bite just so I can still use Bite to attack. I really don't want to take extra recoil damage from Double Edge. I'll likely have to teach Zubat Rest before the end of this run, but for now I think this moveset will do. Stay tuned for later, I'm going to talk about this moveset later. It's really important. Pidgeot leads for our rival, and due to terrible Gen 1 programming, it thinks that Agility is the best move to use versus Zubat. It's Psychic type move, so it thinks it's super effective. Silly Gen 1. With 1 free Pokemon out of the way, we witness the power of our newly learnt Mega Drain. I should have taught Zubat this earlier. Execute is a bit more challenging now without the 4 times effective Bug type move, Leech Life, but luckily it can't do much damage back to us. Gyarados is tough. I need to use Confuse Ray against it first, next time for sure. Duly noted. I won't forget that for the champion fight. Alakazam is an easy one-hit with the power of Double Edge, and that leads us to Charizard, with far less health than I'd like. I luck out here. Confuse Ray does serious work, and the Charizard damages itself several times. On my second bite, I put him into healing range, and my rival uses a potion. Seriously. A basic potion from the start of the game. This gives me the advantage I need to seal the victory. Lorelei is hard. Check out all of these fights versus her. It just isn't going my way. Getting past Dugong doesn't seem to be particularly challenging, but Cloyster represents a serious threat. After that, Slowbro gives me a chance to heal, as it will only use Amnesia versus Zubat, due to thinking that Psychic move is super effective against my poison typing. Jinx and Lapras are completely brutal. If they get a move off, I go down in 1 hit. It's time to level up. Coming back at level 80 does the trick. Dugong hits a massive Aurora Beam to start things off, but Lorelei's use of super potions allows me to spam Mega Drain and recover lost health. Cloyster almost takes me out, but it goes down to 2 Mega Drains. Slowbro won't ever attack us, so it's a nice chance to recover some lost health in preparation for the fight against Jinx and Lapras. Double Edge one-hits Jinx, and I move on to Lapras. I need some luck here. I'm pretty sure Lapras will hit me with Blizzard. Luckily Confuse Ray makes Lapras hit itself twice in Confusion, and that gives me the time I need to Double Edge it down. Now, on to Bruno. Bruno's gonna be very easy. Mega Drain will take out his Onix, and Double Edge or Mega Drain should be able to take down his fighting Pokemon. This fight goes as I would expect, very easily. On to Agatha. So remember when I said stay tuned for a discussion on my new moveset? This is where I learned a really tough lesson. Over the course of around 30 fights, I learned that Gengar's attack just isn't high enough for it to knock itself out in Confusion. I'll just run out of PP far too soon. Even if I use all 3 of my PP ups on Confuse Ray, I still won't be able to stall Gengar, Haunter, and the second Gengar out. Mega Drain doesn't deal enough damage even with critical hits to allow me to win reliably, since Gengar can always recover its health with Dream Eater each time I rest. I even used my rare candies to make this fight go easier, and still at level 90 I wasn't able to deal enough damage. This is where I realized the error I made far earlier in the run. You may have already caught it, I decided to teach Zubat new moves and delete Wing Attack. If I simply had Wing Attack at this point, this fight would have been significantly easier. I actually considered giving up on this run altogether at this point because I didn't want to train a second Zubat up from a low level to take on the Elite Four. After being really sad for a little bit, I decided I would try to get past Agatha after leveling up all the way to level 100. I come back with Zubat at level 100, and this fight is still brutal. I had to attempt it at least 200 times before I finally got the luck I needed to win. In addition to this luck, I scoured Kanto, finding an additional 2 PP ups, which really helped adding 4 uses of Mega Drain I previously didn't have access to. I don't recommend this strategy. I want to do a Zubat run of Yellow very soon, as I believe it will be harder, and when I do that run I certainly will keep Wing Attack for Agatha. That'll improve my odds with this fight and make things much easier. So the strategy here is simple. Keep the ghost Pokemon confused, hope for good luck that they will hit themselves in Confusion, and use Mega Drain a maximum of 4 to 5 times on the first Gengar and Haunter. Golbat and Arbok represent great opportunities to heal, and they'll go down quickly after that with several normal type moves. Finally, I'm able to seal the deal with my second last PP of Mega Drain and move on to Lance. That fight was probably the worst fight I've had so far in any one of these runs. It definitely is a rival with the Butterfree fight versus Agatha when Butterfree did not have special moves. Now let's talk about Gen 1 Red and Blue AI. In Red and Blue, the good AI will always use super effective moves against your Pokemon. And this seems logical, it seems like it would be way harder if they're always using super effective moves. But this means that moves that don't deal damage will be prioritized if there's a type advantage. This programming actually makes Lance trivial. Both Dragonair and Dragonite know Agility and Barrier, so they'll just sit there and spam stat moves against me while I take them out for free. This means that only Gyarados and Aerodactyl represent a threat. As you can see, this battle isn't hard. Mega Drain does enough damage to Aerodactyl to let me take it out, and from there, it's a free victory versus Dragonite. The rival fight starts with Pidgeot. Unlike last time, it can now use Mirror Move against us to deal some damage. Luckily it doesn't do much and we take it out without an issue. Alakazam comes out, but since we're over leveled, we outspeed it and take it out in a single hit. Rhydon goes down to a single Mega Drain, allowing us to heal to full. I tend to take things slow versus Exeggutor in most of my runs, so I throw down a Confuse Ray before switching into Bite. I'm so glad his Hypnosis missed. I also lead with Confuse Ray against Gyarados, and then whittle it down. Mega Drain doesn't do so well, so I switch into Bite. A good decision, I think. Finally, Charizard comes out and hits us with Slash. It deals good damage, but isn't enough to take us out. And that makes my tiny Zubat, with a terrible moveset, champion of the Kanto region. I'm really glad I decided to continue with this and just did the grinding. I think I would have always been a little bit disappointed in myself if I had just given up at Agatha and not really seen it through. It took so many more attempts and so much more time, but it really was worth it. Up next, I'll be doing a solo Oddish run, so stay tuned for that. If you enjoy these runs, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.